Over the last 100 years, the Walt Disney Company has gone from a children's entertainment company to a family entertainment company, and now a new segment appears to be the focus of everything at Walt Disney. Let's talk about that here on That Park Place. Welcome to That Park Place. I am Jonas J. Campbell, and the other day on the That Park Place live stream that we did celebrating the 100-year anniversary of the Walt Disney Company, we brought in Valiant Renegade, WDW Pro, and Vash Sky to talk about a strange new phenomenon. If you're following the theme park space, it might not be that strange to you, but to the Walt Disney Company, they seem to be catering towards a very specific segment of the market. No, it's not kids. No, it's not families. It's Disney adults. Disney adults have become quite a controversial topic within the theme park space because when you're catering to adults that want to engage in fantasy play, you might center your theme park in different ways. Epcot could have been the genesis with this, where they're drinking around the world and food and wine festivals, but this philosophy seems to have gotten into different parks. Either way, let's join the conversation. Confessions of Disney adults, this out of Variety. The Mouse House superfans talk splurging on merch and keeping execs in check. Oh, you'll love how they keep the executives in check.
Good Lord.
Oh, this bike.
You mean when they applauded Bob Iger and Josh D'Amaro on the streets of Main Street when they came, keeping him checked that way? Okay.
Oh yeah.
One of the things I was going to talk about later this week in that video about Disney's creative bankruptcy. Does anybody else out there notice how many articles there are out there in the past few months talking about Disney adults?
Yes.
I think they put Karen catnips in the ears when they sell those things. That's the only solution I can come up with for why people are doing this.
And here's
why do they want to waste their money on this stuff?
Well, here's the interesting thing about this. Yeah, okay. So Disney adults, they could splurge here and there, but compared to an average family going to Disneyland, it's not even close. And as VR actually referenced in a video that he did, the Un-American video, which you absolutely should see, going over some numbers from Rasmussen. Well, families have dropped off in spectacular fashion. So the only guys left in order to take all the money that they can from is Disney adults. So this is.
I was asking rhetorically, and look, even who was it recently? It was Samba with the finale numbers for Ahsoka, was it not? Talking about the biggest over-indexed audience for that show was specifically older millennials. Not millennials, but older millennials, like 35 to 39-year-olds. That would be the oldest band of millennials. And again, all the talk about Disney adults, it's just more signs that Disney is literally aging out of the demographic groups.
They are.
Right, and the interpretation there is, we can only guess, but this happens a lot, where a company loses market share, and then all of a sudden, movie theaters are a great example. Almost no one shows up except Latinos who go to the theaters, and so they say, oh, this movie is popular with Latinos, as opposed to, no, it's just unpopular with everybody else who doesn't always go to the movie theater.
Exactly.
Right.
So let's read a little bit of this. This woman, KJ Yasman, says, I am undeniably a Disney adult. Whenever I have time and funds, I head to one of Disney's 6 resorts across the world. She says resorts instead of theme parks because there's about 10 or 12.
Yeah. She wants it to sound more mature. This is going to be great.
Where I can feel my problems melt away quicker than a Mickey bar in the midday sun. The air brims with excitement. Strangers wave at me from rides, and suddenly my biggest dilemma is whether to hit up Haunted Mansion or It's a Small World first. Unfortunately, you can't live in the Disney parks. I checked. So I've done the next best thing and infused my London apartment and wardrobe with all things Disney. There's the Mrs. Potts bone china teapot from Tokyo Disneyland.
Oh, my Lord.
$400 Lego Cinderella castle my husband and I built for my 30th birthday.
He's a happy man.
The Baymax backpack I snagged in the Disney store in Shanghai, which, by the way, garners more compliments than any designer purse. You can get the general idea of this. Oh, here's a good quote. Disney's pretty ingrained into every aspect of my life, says Francis Dominic Garcia, a Disney influencer whose pop culture and theme park content has garnered a healthy Instagram following. But we'll skip down here towards the end.
Yes, get us down to the real psychosis.
Although some might assume Disney adults simply hoover up anything with a Mickey face on it, fans are often Disney's harshest critics. Oh, here it comes. You can absolutely love something and still critically engage with it because you want it to be better, says Robin Muir, a sociology lecturer at Surrey University in England. And
sounds like Star Wars fans right now.
Wow, sociology lecturer. Interesting.
Here's where the criticism shows up. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs is a film grown-up fans can both cherish and acknowledge is problematic.
Wow,
No.
that went really deep there.
No,
Really, really deep.
there's nothing. There's no adult, no actual thinking adult looks at Snow White and says it's problematic. I'm sorry, they don't.
Maybe a sociology lecturer in London.
That's the problem
Feminist
right
scholar.
there. Yeah.
These are the same people. Let me just tell you about these people. These are the same people who, Disney puts out like 27 new cupcakes a month at their parks, right? These are the people, and I'm not, listen, folks, if you're out there buying something that is Disney related, we're not mocking you. You're normal, okay? We are mocking the people who, when the 27 cupcakes come out, they go try every one of the 27 cupcakes, and they post every single one of them to their Instagram, and they give a Yelp review on how on the taste of the icing, and you're like, it's the same freaking icing. It's just different food color. You idiot. That's who we're talking about here.
Because I'm a Yelp reviewer, and please give me service quickly.
And they also just throw away the cupcake in many times, as we've seen. Those people just toss them as soon as they get the nice picture because they got trim for the gram.
And those cupcakes are like $20 for a stinky little cupcake that you could make at home for $2.
Star Wars Galaxy's Edge got into this mix by doing the blue milk, and if you ever go into the restrooms, you'll see in the sinks there, blue milk poured out by people who took it for the photo for Instagram and then subsequently threw it away. This is
really
every single. Oh yes,
for $20, I want diabetes. Gosh darn it!
No, you'll get diarrhea. That's what you'll get for that $20.
Because there's no natural.
Sorry, Wilford Brimley.
There's no natural substances, whatever, in those things. They're somehow non-dairy and no sugar. And I have they even released what the ingredient list is?
It's like the chemical composite of coconut extract infused with Jedi powers.
The ingredient list is quite long. They wanted to do something that was milk-like but didn't actually have dairy in it, so they went and did this huge.
You know the funny story about that, don't you, Vash? You know why they did that? Well, they got a big award from PETA for doing that, and so the whole thing was okay. So PETA waged war against SeaWorld, right? Okay. Disney's sitting there with Animal Kingdom. They don't want to wage war with PETA. So how do they get PETA off of them? Dairy-free blue milk and green milk, and then some other vegan options that they've done around the park to garner praise from PETA.
Even though
they still get to have their elephants and then their cake and eat it too.
Even though they're serving fantastic steaks over at Le Cellier.
Yeah, why do they continuously want to appease all of the wackos and the wrong people that don't pay their bills? It never ceases to amaze me.
Because they buy 30 cupcakes a trip, apparently.
It's absolutely bizarre. I was just about to bring up that point here, where you do have somebody, I guess, from the UK contributing to this article here, which is interesting to talk about because let's say when Universal opened up their Wizarding World back in 2010, when that initially opened, first of all, they paid off the whole thing just to butterbeer sales alone. So it speaks to, if you put out a good product that people actually want to buy, they'll support it.
How about that? It tastes good.
It tastes good, right? Yes. But the merch was good, and they appealed to an audience that, a multi-generational audience, to the point where UK families, when they would actually come down and visit the Wizarding World, they'd be leaving at the very minimum with at least $1,000 worth of merchandise each time they would actually go in there. And that was back in 2010. And that's when the Mouse House was like, oh, okay, so we actually had to appeal to an audience ourselves. And they completely screw that up. And now they're really kind of leading into these Disney adults to VR a point, have very, very little, let's say, revenue generation potential.
Yeah. This is the same model that they use in mobile gaming, right? These are the whales. And so what Disney is doing is they are creating these items that do not appeal to average people, but they appeal to a very particular customer. And that particular customer buys it in mass. And oftentimes that customer does not have the funds to afford such a thing, but that never stops them. They buy it anyway, and they live either working, They are the Instagram generation. They go online and they present themselves as being luxurious Disney resort guests. And in reality, they're going into debt to buy these Chinese sweatshop trinkets. It's ludicrous. It's just ludicrous. And it doesn't leave these people happy.
And I would point out that however many people, if we can track how many people actually went into the Galactic Star Cruiser, they probably have a pretty good idea of what population of the United States is actually these Disney adults with the large pockets that will go and do something just to put it on Instagram.
Well, not even with the large pockets. I agree with what Pro said. You've got a lot of people out there that, I mean, I personally know people, teachers and people like that, and I'm not trying to disparage their fandom in any way, but I know some of these folks that, they make decent incomes. They're not destitute. They're not poor, but they're not wealthy either. And I mean, they will spend, a year, 2 years more sometimes setting aside thousands of dollars in savings to go to Disney because that's their thing. And it's like, man, if you're spending that much time to go on this and you're doing this every couple of years, it's like, that financial planner brain in me goes off and I'm thinking to myself, you might want to dedicate that elsewhere if it's taken that long to get,
Okay.
And it's just, but that's the mentality. And this is who Disney is going after. I mean, I'm not trying to go off the rails with this, but I mean, people make jokes and people make comments and remarks about big pharma or big car, big this or big that. And people don't think about big Disney kind of does the same thing to people too.
They do.
I mean, they base that marketing design off of, we're going to get you to bring money. I mean, remember like the first couple of seasons of Family Guy, like back in the early 2000s, and this was when Eisner was still CEO. There was a joke in a Family Guy episode, pretty sure it was Family Guy, and one of the characters was in the parks, and Eisner drives up in a car or something and just looks at him and goes, "Bring money." And it's like, it's one of those true jokes on Family Guy ever. And again, that was with Eisner. I mean, that's how far back that episode was.
Right. And they've only gone farther and farther down that path. The shopping centers have only gotten even more elaborate. I mean, Disney Springs used to be a place that you could take a family and get some merch. Now it's all like shops that I would never go into that shop under a normal circumstance.
Right, it's Louis Vuitton. But
I haven't
here's
been
the
there
crazy
since
thing.
it was downtown Disney. So like when y'all say Disney Springs, y'all throw me off. I gotta ask, wait, what is that again?
Yeah, exactly.
So here's the crazy thing. The average guest and their average family, they're already maxed out, right? And they're conscientious. And so they go in there already maxed out, trying to give their kids that once in a decade experience.
Sure.
And they buy a normal set of souvenirs. And they're like, it's our vacation. We're going to splurge, So they get the Disney mug and they get the ears for their child and the balloon. And that's normal. That's not what we're talking about. We're talking about a particular type of adult, oftentimes married adults, but often also not having children, who these individuals are going to Disney, and Disney is marketing to them what I would describe as a religious experience. And they actually are participating in the Disney parks as if it is some sort of sacred kind of experience. Walt never intended for that. And so what's happening is they're taking all of these slogans of the magic and the pixie dust and, they take all of that and they actually turn this into a part of their persona.
Right.
And so, like, when you're talking about that individual who's now dressing head to toe, sorry, Vash. but the person who's dressing head to toe and buying all the stuff in the parks, because I'm going to delineate a little bit for you, Vash. Because here's the deal. I've got stuff in my studio walls that I can look around right now and, plenty of movie posters and all kinds of things.
Yeah.
The difference is that for me and my sanity, I bought these at like Hobby Lobby or Amazon or eBay for a normal price. These people are going to the Disney parks where the profit margins are raised to insanity levels. Like, you're talking about items that are quadruple and I don't know, what do you call the fifth level? Singtupled? I don't know.
Quintupled.
Quintupled. That's a crazy word. I'll go to 6 times then. Septupled above
That would actually
be seven.
times,
That would be
yeah.
seven septupled.
Dectupled. That means 10, folks. It's not a naughty word. Dectupled. Jonas is like, all right, Pro's done. He's out. He's out of the stream now. It's too late for Pro.
Well, six would have been even worse because that's sextupled.
Yeah, that's tupled.
I tried to avoid that. Gosh, Valiant. But anyway, so but they are exorbitantly priced, and these people go into the parks and they spend the crazy money on the items that they could literally go to the cast member exchange and get them for 20% of what they're paying.
Oh yeah, we saw $120 lightsabers for $40 because of Lorena's coverage. Amazing, absolutely amazing, because it is in the end a useless piece of plastic, and if your identity is tied to a corporation, to put it bluntly, you're going to have a bad time. You have no control over that corporation. I'll say from my perspective, when we decided that we were going to spend as little money as possible on Disney, I'm not saying we've had a successful boycott because they own everything. It got us to be a lot more creative about where we were going to go with our vacations. All of a sudden it was like, well, what if we just go to this nice place instead of spending all of our money at the Walt Disney World Resort? And again, we were pretty frugal as far as that goes. What if we go to a nice beach? What if we go to Gatlinburg? Hey, we went to Dollywood. That was a good time. There are, and I'm barely scratching the surface of good vacations in the United States. Guess what? There's lots of coverage on that Park Place of wonderful national parks full of natural beauty that Walt's designers could never replicate.
It's this exploitative conduct that Pro was talking about before, where they almost exclusively marketed towards these Disney adults that, as VR had mentioned, that really kind of put themselves into incredible debt, and who have not only made self-sacrifices to themselves in order to accomplish these Disney goals, but I've seen people put their families through it. I've seen people kind of destroy themselves in order to try to attain this kind of magic, this fantasy.
Yes,
and it's just it's real bad. I mean, it's
and they're like 2% of Okay, look at it this way. I've got a family member who loves the Green Bay Packers. He is a cheesehead to the point that he owns seats.
I'm so
in
sorry.
Lambeau Field. Okay.
Wait. Yeah. Does he also own a share of stock in the team, though?
Yes, he does. But that's.
Okay. I have friends that do. So,
but he is well off. It is a very small percentage of his total net worth.
There you go.
He's having fun, and the Green Bay Packers, best I can tell, I'm not into the cheesehead nation, right? But as best as I can tell, they're not exploiting their fans in the way that Disney purposefully sells to these people this feeling or whatever this is that they have to have every new item, and there's 1,000 new items. And then these people are going into massive debt trying to keep up with it.
Well, do the Green Bay Packers have a timeshare program that they're trying to sell?
There you go, right? That's
if they did, they'd sell out.
Oh man.
GBVC, Green Bay Vacation Club.
Look, here's the thing: is that you're talking about all this, but let me go to the other side and play devil's advocate. This is kind of the brilliant end of Disney's marketing, right? Because it's been so effective and infective in the case with these kinds of folks, right? What do we always talk about? We always talk about how poorly Disney is doing in terms of, we've seen the polling data, what people view them as, the opinions they have of Disney. See box office, Disney Plus viewership, even now park attendance is coming down. You want to know why it's taken so long for a lot of the normies out there, and I mean the financial Wall Street normies out there that cover Disney, to figure out the problems? It's because of the people that you're talking about right now.
Yeah. Because
they're out there in droves, and all they see is, man, look at the Instagram engagements, look at the Twitter engagements, look at the Facebook engagements. Disney's still a popular, powerful brand in the American zeitgeist, at least for the right crowd. And they don't realize the underpinnings, the problems that lie beneath these kind of things, where, yes, this audience is out there and they're rabid, but they're also shrinking. They're also aging out. This is not a 2023 or even a 2024, 2025 problem. This is a 2035 problem for Disney, that if they do not start addressing today, ain't gonna be no 2035 for me.
Well, we're already seeing it, right? Bob Iger, he made comments earlier this year talking about the strength of brand. You're going to see how strong our brand is when Little Mermaid's released. Well, and now we know how that actually turned out, right?
That's a great way to end it out. Perfect. So what do you think? Are Disney adults the future of the Walt Disney Company, or are they the albatross around the neck of Bob Iger? Let us know in the comments down below. Of course, if you want to follow us on social media, there's handles above me and also in the description. Of course, share this out on social media if you think it's worth sharing. And of course, if you have watched more than 3 of these in a row, you are legally obligated to subscribe. Either way, stay tuned to That Park Place for all the news that should be fun.
Thanks for watching That Park Place News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com for all the news that should be fun. Don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.